Hey folks, welcome back to Road Hard Restorations. In this video, we're going to be installing the shiny on my 1967 Ford Mustang. So today is Wednesday. I'm leaving for the duct tape drags early Friday morning to go to drive down to Tucson. So when I bought my 67 Mustang a few years back, it was just in primer gray. And I washed it down with some Dawn soap and some Ajax. Maybe it was Comet, I don't remember, one of those two. And a red Scotch-Brite because it was just really rough and kind of nasty. Well, I noticed a lot of the primer was coming off and left the original blue paint beneath it, although it was super dull. And but overall, the car kind of turned blue. And when I washed it, I noticed that when the water was still on it, it looked nice and shiny, and the blue really popped. So I thought, well, that'd be an interesting idea just to clear coat it. And when I went to Duct Tape Drags 2023, met Derek, and I bought a package of his wipe-on clear coat. This is the glossy finish. They do have a matte finish and some other products, but I thought, what the heck, let's try this out and see how it looks. So I'm going to show you in this video all the steps necessary to install this. Now this can be sprayed on through a gun, and I do have paint guns, as you've seen in my other videos. I do paint, and but this is designed for somebody who maybe doesn't have a big compressor and air gun or a place to spray. So you can just do this in your carport, driveway. You want to kind of stay out of direct sunlight though, so if you can pull it under some shade, that'd be better off for you. So anyway, let's get to it. So these are some of the products you're going to need. First, you want to wash the car. I used Dawn dish soap. It's usually what I typically use to wash a car before I bring it into the shop to do any body and paint work. After reading the instructions here, it actually specified Dawn dish soap, so I'm already ahead of the game there. So you'll wash it really good. If obviously it's going to be dull, I used a used red Scotch-Brite, so it wasn't like as coarse as like a fresh one. You can use a gray Scotch-Brite. You can just use towels just to wash the car, basically. Get all the dirt and grime off of it. If you have any loose, flaky, old paint, you can use like a Scotch-Brite or something to get that kind of smoothed out so it's not sticking up and getting flakes into the clear coat as you're wiping it on. You don't want to wipe over an area that's flaking and have those chips land back into the clear coat that you're trying to apply. So get any loose crap off of there. Second thing you want to do is use a good grease and wax remover, and you want to wipe the whole car down with that, and then try not to touch it with your fingers after you've done that. So you'll want to grab a bunch of rags or paper towels. I use like a blue Torx brand, I think it is, shop towel. You can use any of the blue shop towels should work. Just make sure that they're not leaving any fibers or anything behind as you're wiping. They're not falling apart when you get them wet. Just a good quality towel there. You want just some masking tape. Do yourself a favor and get some automotive masking tape, not just the blue painter's tape. It'll work in a pinch, considering you're not going to be leaving it on there very long, but a lot of times it'll have a tendency to tear off poorly and leave tape residue. So that's just more cleanup. So even the cheapest tape at the auto body supply store is going to be better than some of the more premium house painter's tape. So get yourself some automotive masking tape. You're going to need something to mix up your paint in. This is actually mixed 8-to-1. So get yourself a graded mixing cup. This one actually has a bunch of these both have a bunch of different ratios. This one actually has an 8-to-1. So you can use that scale there. This one does not. So if your paint mixing cup doesn't have the correct 8-to-1 scale on here, you can just use it's just 8 parts, right? So whether that part is an ounce or a milliliter or a gallon, whatever you're doing, or you just use this generic scale right here. It's 1 through 10. So you go up to the 8 with the clear coat, and then up to the 9 with the hardener. So it's 8-to-1. So it's pretty simple to mix that up. If you only need to mix up half that amount, well then you just do the math and you figure it out. So you up to the 4, and then up to a half. So, because it'd be 8 to 1. So, anyway, there you go. It's pretty straightforward. If you don't have a mixing cup with any scales on there, then you can go to the kitchen and borrow the mixing cup from the kitchen, and then keep it in the garage, and then go buy your wife a new one for the kitchen. This kit came with an applicator pad, so I've been keeping it in the plastic bag to keep it clean, and looks like a cotton wrapped sponge. It's kind of what it looks like, kind of like a car wash sponge wrapped in some sort of a cotton weave. So if for whatever reason you didn't get the applicator pad, you can go to the auto parts store, and I think you can pick up any of the hand buffing pads, like McGuire's, Mother's. I think they both sell them for the hand applicator, and I think that would probably work just fine. I also have some foam brushes that you could use as well. So like I said before, this is mix 8 to 1. This is 1 quart. This is a pint, a quarter of a pint can. But even this isn't full because you don't even need it. I picked this up, I'm like, that doesn't even feel like it's full, because you really don't need a whole lot of this hardener for this clear coat. The first step after you wash the car with Dawn dish soap, rinse it and dry it, swipe it down with a good grease and wax remover. I use these pump and spray bottles. You might be able to find these at your home improvement store, but make sure that it has the seals that are rated for solvent use. Otherwise, the seals will either dry out, and shrink and crack, or they'll get all mushy and swell up, and either way, it's not good. Won't make a seal to be able to pump it up the pressure and then spray it. So if you don't have one of these, you can use just a little spray squirt bottle, but again, make sure it's solvent rated. You try to go in the same direction with your towel. You don't want to just rub it, smear it all around. So basically, I grab it in one direction, flip it, and go like that. A couple things you're going to want to do before you even get started: put on a pair of gloves. I use these nitrile gloves from SAS. They're called Ravens. I'll put a link down in the description where you can find them on Amazon. They're really good. They're pretty durable. I've been using these for years now. I like them a lot. And then also you're going to want to make sure that you have proper ventilation. So you'll want to either open up the garage door or outside under a carport. Again, you want to be out of direct sunlight when you're doing this. But protect yourself. Use some gloves. If your ventilation isn't so hot, put a couple fans out the garage door, and then certainly wear a respirator. If you're spraying this, you absolutely want head to toe coverage, respirator, the whole 9 yards, because you're spraying a catalyzed product. So you don't want to inhale any of that stuff. Being able to wipe on, as long as you're in a well-ventilated area, I think you'd be okay. I would still recommend using a respirator. I haven't opened this up yet, so I don't know how bad the smell is going to be, but you'll probably see me wearing a respirator. Anyway, let's get started here. I'm going to wipe this down with grease and wax remover, and then we'll get to masking, and then we will make it shiny. So when you're spraying the grease and wax remover, you can see it gives it that gloss. You can kind of get a preview of what it's going to look like once you put the clear coat on there. So any imperfections, which this has many, we'll show you exactly what's going on. Going through a lot of towels doing this. When you're wiping this stuff on, you don't want it to drip all over your chrome. So I am just going to simply tape it off. Be very careful that you don't get the tape on the sheet metal where you're actually trying to apply the product, but you don't want to leave any chrome exposed either. So you want to get just close enough where any excess clear coat will run down behind it, but not get stopped at the tape. So if you're going to err on one side or the other, I would expose just a hair of chrome as opposed to having the tape on the actual metal where you're actually trying to apply your product. And then you can run a fingernail down in there and make sure that the tape is going behind it. So now you're not masking for overspray, because obviously we're not spraying this. You just don't want to build big old globs of drips and stuff getting all over your trim. I've never used this particular product before, so we are learning together here. I'm not even going to worry about inside this little filler piece here. And this is actually all just temporary until I get around to actually painting the car proper. Someday. I have several cars ahead of it. So I'm hoping this will last me a good 2-3 years. I don't know, I may like it. Just leave it this way. We'll see. Let me try something new. A little unorthodox, if you will. Wiping on a clear coat. Who would have thought of such a ridiculous thing? I may wind up taking these wipers off. I'm not sure yet. That's the beauty of the wipe-on, is that you don't have to take everything apart. Just like with anything else, the more you disassemble for prep, the better the outcome's going to be. But might have said in another video, I don't know, when you're planning on buying your materials for whatever kind of paint job you're doing, whether it's a wipe on or a spray on, figure out how much tape you're going to need and then quadruple it. You will be amazed on how much tape you go through. All right, reading the instructions here, it says personal protective equipment, best results used in a well-ventilated area between 50 and 77 ambient and surface temperature. Well, the thermometer on the wall says it's 80 in here. And the panel is right at 77. So the surface temperature is not too hot. That's 78. And that's 76. So I think that's 82. So 81, 82. It's about 80 here. And 80. So I think we're right in the ballpark. I mean, it's just a couple degrees higher, but we're out of direct sunlight. I think we'll be okay. Got it all masked up. And it's a lot easier to mask this when you're not spraying it. You're not worried about getting inside the jams or whatnot. Got around the windows, roof rail moldings, door handle lock, rocker. Got around the corners of the bumpers, because I'm going to be in that area there. Haven't decided if I'm going to do the back panel yet. I might just leave it just a gray. I really should have probably sanded that more to see if there's some blue behind it, but that's okay. Give it some character. And then you got the mirror there. So anyway, looks like we're just about ready to start wiping this on. Now I'm really hoping this stuff isn't super drippy, because I didn't cover my wheels. So hopefully I don't drip anything on there. All right, let's get to it. Since we're wiping this on and not spraying it, I'm not too worried about, a big old cloud or fog in here. But the stuff still has a hardener or a catalyst, which I assume is going to have isocyanates in it, which is really bad for you. Normally you would want to open the garage door. I live out in the desert on a dirt lot, and it's really windy today. So if I open that door, all that dust is going to come in and settle on the paint job. So I'm simply going to wear a respirator, basically just a little half mask with charcoal filters in it. and then wipe it off, wipe it on, I should say. And then once I'm done with it, I'll just shut down the lights, go out the man door, wait a couple hours until it's what they call dust free, meaning the dust won't stick to it anymore. Generally not fully cured for 24 hours according to the instructions here. But once it's dust free, then usually you can touch it, but if you push it, you can still get a fingernail into it and whatnot, so it's not completely hardened. But like I said, the dust doesn't stick to it. So I'll keep the door closed, wear my mask. Once I'm done, I'll exit out the man door and come back a couple hours later and then open the door and air it out. So that's the plan. I get this, let's get started here. Got my product, got a mixing cup, and got my applicator, got my instructions, got my respirator right here. I'm going to hold off on wearing the respirator, at least for the first few minutes, while I'm kind of going around talking about what I'm doing. We'll see how stinky it is. Because if I'm not smelling anything, that's a really good sign, and I'm probably fine. But I don't want to risk it, so I'm going to wear the respirator anywho. But you probably won't be able to understand me through the mask. So anyway, let's get started. Got my mixing cup here. It says 8 to 1. I don't have the 8 to 1 like I mentioned earlier, so I'm just going to go ahead and go up to the 8, and then with the clear coat, and then one part, which is the hardener, up to the 9. But I'm going to read these instructions one more time. How much do I need? A 32-ounce container will cover one long bed C10 truck. That's not a C10 truck, so probably won't need that much. Can I do more than one coat? Yes. If wiping, wait 24 hours after the first application and give the surface a light scuff, then apply. So basically saying, yeah, you can, but you got to let it cure first, because if it's wet and you go to wipe it on, you're just wiping off the other stuff and it's just going to get all messed up. So after it dries, give it a light scuff. And if you're doing that, you would probably use a gray Scotch-Brite if you're going to put a second coat on there, just to give it a scratch, give it a tooth for the next application to stick to. So if you're doing 2 coats, get yourself some gray Scotch-Brite. If you're spraying it, then you just allow 20 minutes between coats. It's pretty straightforward. Shake well before use. All right. I don't think I need to put this on the paint shaker, but I'm just going to give it a little agitation here. Ooh, I think it's foaming up a little bit because I don't feel it shaking anymore. So careful with that. Can go a little firm. Wear protective equipment. Well ventilated area. Between 50 and 77. Well, it's almost 80 in here, but I think we're okay. Wash the surface with Dawn dish soap. Check. And a light duty scuff pad. Check. Let dry completely. Check. Then with wax and grease remover. Check. Mix required catalyst. Mixing ratio of 8 to 1 to achieve a chemical resistance. 8 parts clear coat to 1 part catalyst. Mixed product will have a 2-hour pot life at 77 degrees. So I'll have, it's a little hotter than 77, it's about 80. So we'll have probably just under 2 hours every time I mix it up to get it applied. Otherwise it'll start getting kind of syrupy until it actually hardens up. Blow off the applicator pad. Yeah, I left it in the bag. I'll blow it off anyway. To remove any loose fibers. So if there's any loose fibers in here, they're going to get stuck into your clear coat, and you don't want that. So I'll blow that off first, just per the instructions. After the surface is completely dry, then with the wipe-on clear coat, wet the provided applicator with a paint tray or for large areas. Well, I'm just going to use my cup here. For small and hard to get areas, you can wet a clean white rag and wipe it on. So something like an old t-shirt, I think. A white t-shirt would probably be fine. But again, blow it off, make sure it's clean. There's no lint. Do not apply in direct sunlight in bold. Apply to an inconspicuous test area. Apply thinly, quickly, and barely overlap each wipe. Interesting. Okay, like when you're painting, you may want a 25% overlap, a 50%, 75% overlap, depending on what you're doing. This is just basically you don't need to do an overlap, just barely touch it so you don't miss any spots. Once clear coat is applied, do not wipe over the same area after 20 seconds. If you have missed a spot or have an imperfection to correct, allow 24 hours to cure before scuffing that area and reapplying. Allow 20 to 30 minutes to dry to the touch. That's that dust-free that I was talking about. And 24 hours for a full cure, which would give us enough time to get this loaded on the trailer for duct tape this weekend. Use acetone, which I have that in a bottle here. I have half a can left over there to remove any unwanted surfaces. So I can use acetone to clean off any chrome if I drip it on there. Lay used rags and applicators out flat dry to dry properly before disposing to avoid any spontaneous combustion. May cause wrinkling of the paint. Use it in a test area first. You can use a paint gun with a 1.4 nozzle. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Okay, got that. Alrighty, so 8 to 1. Oh, you know what? I want to blow this off first. Okay, I did see a few little white specks fly off of there, so good tip. Okay, cool. So let's open this up. Now, it said painter's tray, so I'm wondering if more of a flat surface area would be better to do that, because that way you can just kind of dab it. And we'll see how it works here. I'm going to mix up half of the amount first. So I'm not going to go all the way up and do a full batch just yet. I'm just going to start off with half. So I'm going to go to the 4 to the 4.5 here. Okay. Alrighty, and grab a paint stick here. This stuff has a different smell to it than my typical, typical paints that I use. This reminds me of like the smell of like the tractor implement paint, or like not the implement paint, but I don't know. It's like a different. Each brand has their own little unique smell. Alrighty, let's set this here. Alright, normally I would put this in a gun, but I'm just going to go right to it, I guess. Alrighty, you know what, let's start on, well, let's just go for it. Remember, this has a 2-hour pot life, so once you mix it up, you have 2 hours. Look at the time right now. Okay, it's 1:45, so let's see where we're at here. Let's dab this in here. Just go ahead with the cowl on the hood here. Ooh, it is. You gotta move quick here. It is runny. Okay, it did say move quickly, so that is what I am doing. Okay, good to know. Don't go over the edges right after you dab it. Oh my god, this hood is long. Holy crap, and I didn't set the brake. This thing car's moving. Okay, well, let's just keep going for it here. I missed a spot right there. I can fix it. Okay. Okay. It's within 20 seconds, right? Yeah, I think the flat container, as opposed to, to dab the bottom half of the sponge into, would be better than dipping the whole thing in here, because then the top half of the sponge is kind of soaked, you know. Ooh, it's been 20 seconds. Let's see what it does here. Okay. Let's see how well this actually. Okay. I don't know how thick this product is actually getting applied. It's really hard to tell. I'm just smearing it. I'm getting a lot of bubbles. Man, I don't want all these bubbles in here. Why are there so many bubbles? All right, well, let's see what happens here. Supposed to ring it first? Oh, this applicator pad's kind of questionable here. Let's hope these bubbles go away. That's no bueno. I don't want to have to buff this thing. And shiny, you know, that's good. Getting caught on the thing. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of bubbles in here. It's actually starting to kind of look like. Yep. Okay. It was already starting to set, and I touched it again, and it was dragging. So yeah, definitely don't want to go over it again. All right, we got it all wiped on there. It's really strong in here. Let me put my mask back on real quick. We just kind of wanted to show you quickly. It's very streaky. Lots of bubbles in it. I don't know if you can see that in there. And there's even runs. How do you get a run on a flat panel? Well, this is the first panel I did, and apparently I had it on way too thick, and so it's just kind of pooling everywhere. There's some trash that fell in it. Wonderful. So as I got more practice with it, it turned out a lot better. It's still kind of streaky, so I'm probably going to come back tomorrow and do one more application. So a little disappointing. I thought I'd get it on the first go. I mean, I don't know if you can see in the lights, but you can see the path that the applicator took when I was applying it. And there's all these bubbles in it. So not faring too well so far. I think simply just I think it's user error, to be quite honest with you. I've never actually wiped on a clear coat before. The idea seems kind of silly, to be honest with you. But the areas where I kind of figured it out, actually it doesn't look too half bad. So I think it's just a learning curve. So hopefully this video will help you prevent making the same mistakes. So I think basically you dab it in the paint and your cup, and then you wring it out, so it's not completely soaked and dripping with the product. I'm wondering if like a cloth cotton diapers would have been a better applicator, or just simply wringing it out, so I'm not gobs of product on here. So, yep, it's a mess. But hopefully we'll get it cleaned up before I got to load it on the trailer for duct tape. Otherwise, it's going to go looking like this. So, we'll see. Anyway, I got to get out of here. It stinks. Well, here we are. Got a little bit of a mess here. I went to lunch. It's been a couple hours since I applied it. Not really happy the way it turned out, to be quite honest with you, but I think it's user error. Areas, I think I had the sponge, because it is a sponge that they give you wrapped in cloth. I think it put it on too heavy. I think it was too saturated. I don't know if you can see the reflection in there, but there's runs. I mean, it's a run on a flat panel. So how does that happen? But worse than that are all these little bubbles that formed, and then the bubbles pop, and you're left with all these craters. So like I said, this is probably user error. I'm going to try to fix it, and I'll show you what I do to fix it if I can. This has got to be on the trailer tomorrow night, so I can leave early Friday morning for duct tape drags. And I guess I could load this Friday morning if I have to, but that's okay. But yeah, this just looks like ass. So this is the first area that I did. Once I kind of figured it out, like these doors here, it turned out a lot better. And once I kind of figured out what I was doing, how to apply it without it doing that. But I still even have like a little sag right through here. But the areas that look good look damn good. However, it is super streaky. And what do you expect from a wipe-on product? I mean, there's like big old streaks there all across. And then I even have some bubbles in here popping up. There's another run right there. All I did is just wipe it. But the stuff's so thin that it just runs off. Then the roof is like super streaky. Again, I don't know how much this is showing up in the camera. And then I have a whole lake of bubbles right in the middle of the roof. And you can see the transition from when I did one side, the arm's reach, to the other side. You can see a line down the middle, even though I tried to overlap that part. The stuff dries super fast. You have like 20 seconds to kind of go back over it again if you need to adjust it. So, but this hood looks absolutely atrocious. So I'm going to try to fix this. They say wait 24 hours and then sand it and fix it if you have any areas that you need to address. But I'm going to try to cheat a little bit, speed it along, see if I can repair the damages here. All right, one of the products I'm going to use is this 3M Superfines sanding sponge. I usually use this for on my clear coats when I'm going to prepare it for a blend on a blend panel when you're doing a paint job repair. I'm going to go ahead and try it. Like, it's only been a couple hours since I applied this, but it is a catalyzed product, so it should be dry. I mean, it is dry to the touch. And so let me try it on this fender here and see if or actually I'll do right in the middle of the hood here where all these bubbles are. So, and we'll kind of see what we have, what it does here. See if it powders up, we'll be okay. You can actually see the runs in here, like run. So I may need to get a block. You can see the run goes all the way down to here. Yeah, I can, feels like, oh man, what does that feel like? It is really scratchy, all the little highs, I can feel them all, like braille. Okay. All right, new plan. All right, I bought some 800 just to have in stock. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the 800 on my DA. using my interface pad. It's nice and soft. And try to sand out all these bubbles and runs. And then I'm just going to mask the car and spray it. So didn't want to have to do that, but looks like that's might be the way we're going to go. Or, I don't know, I may just try the wipe on again, just use a different kind of method other than the sponge, because the sponge just holds way too much material, and then when you going to apply it, it just dumps a bunch of it in that area, and then you're trying to spread it around like in just a few seconds. So I think that's part of the problem. Like I said, it's just user error. First time using the product, you don't know until you try it. So anyway, let's get to sanding. I might have to do this without the interface pad because it's just going straight over the runs without cutting them. Let me just kind of show you a little closer here some of the spots that kind of come out as you're sanding. I mean, you can kind of see the run pattern here. Now this hood was laying flat when I sprayed it, but you can see the outline. This is all raised right here, I can feel it. So I got to sand it till this line is gone, so it's like this as opposed to like this. And you can see how bad that is. It's just not happy. And then there's like some dry streaking there, even though I know I overlapped a little bit. So probably another couple hours of sanding, and then blowing it off, drying it off, and then reapplying. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to spray it or try to wipe on again using a different applicator. So since this is a catalyzed product, the applicator got the product in it, it's going to harden up in here, so you probably think these are one-time use only. Now the other patina preservers and stuff that don't use the catalyst means it shouldn't dry, so I think you should be able to put this in a Ziploc bag and then use it again next time. But if you're using a catalyzed product, it's going to harden up, and then you're not going to be able to reuse it. So just a couple more hours of sanding, and then I'll bring you back in and let you know how it turned out before I start reapplying the clear coat. All right, I roughly sanded out a lot of the hood. Just kind of want to show you how a good way to check your progress. I just use some grease and wax remover and a rag. Kind of wipe it down. You can kind of get an idea of where you're at. And you can wet it. It'll kind of show you what it's going to look like when it's glossy. You can see a little bit of a streak right there. The rest of it's just a little blotchy, but it was before the paint. I mean, that's just the color. But I can still see some of the run in this area. I haven't really focused on that much. Over down here, I don't know how much honestly is showing up in the camera here. Tilt you down a little bit. Right through here, I can see still see the outline of where it was. But when you put the shiny on it, it mostly goes away. So I think I'm okay. I actually switched to a 400 grit. If I had 600, I would have used that. But on the DA, you can see it's kind of balling up a little bit because it's not quite 100% cured. It is dry, but it's not cured. There is a difference. But anywho, I think this will work. I just gotta kind of knock out all these runs and then do it again. So live and learn. It is a learning process. Okay, here's the plan. Went ahead and sanded the tops because that's where the biggest problem was. The sides actually don't look too bad. There's a couple of tiny little runs or things here and there, but it's just few and far between on the sides. It was just on the flat surfaces for whatever reason. So I got all that flattened out. The hood, the roof, sail panels, and then the top here, and then the deck lid. And then so I'm just going to mask just those areas off. And I'm just gonna go ahead and spray it out of my paint gun. So this is super unorthodox, not the way you typically paint a car. I don't expect it to be super shiny. Certainly not like this, which is a automotive base coat clear coat. I don't expect it to be that shiny or glossy or smooth, especially considering what it's going over. It's just going to be a 30 footer. You know, it'll look good at, or halfway decent at 30 feet. And in the sea of cars the duct tape drags, I think this will fit right in. It's ratty enough, and it just looked dull and, I don't know, faded, sun faded. Well, that's why everybody likes to, you know, put that patina preserver or whatever on the cars. So the problem that I had with this thing, I think, was too heavy of application. Using the little pad, I think using a cotton cloth, like a old-fashioned baby diaper, not a new baby diaper, of course, or a used one for that matter. But wring it out, and you got to move really fast. And I don't think just using, you know, straight motions works very well in this case. I think just basically getting it on really thin, because you think you want to put it on heavy, but you don't. Just wipe it on really thin, and keep moving. And I think that's going to be the key. I don't know about the patina preserver, the stuff that doesn't have the hardener in it, the catalyst. I think you'd probably be okay with that. You know, taking your time doing that, because it doesn't have a hardener, it's not going to cure up like this stuff does. When this stuff was getting put on heavy, it was getting aerated, and I was getting a bunch of bubbles. And since it's catalyzed, it kicks, it hardens up relatively quick, and the air would want to escape, and then it would harden up, and then the bubble will pop, but you're still left with like that crater, that form of the bubble, and it just looked horrible. Not to mention, you know, it's really runny, and so it was just kind of running all over, making tracks everywhere. So putting it on thin, moving quickly, and then using something that's not going to hold as much material, like a cloth diaper, as opposed to the sponge, which soaks it all up. And if you put any pressure on it, it just squeezes it all out, and it just floods the panel area that you're working. So really light coat, move fast. And it said no overlap. You know, it said in the instructions very little overlap. But I was getting really bad streaking. But what do you expect for something that you're wiping on? It's not much different than if you're, you know, using a paintbrush to paint something. You're going to get streaks, right? We'll see what this looks like when I go to spray it out of the gun. I'm pretty confident that it'll turn out okay. We will see. However, it got me thinking, while I have the hood, the roof, and the trunk lid all prepped, ready to paint, I got an idea. Well, that just goes straight up and over the car. Well, what else goes straight up and over the car? Racing stripes in a can. Yes, so I think I'm going to stripe this. I found a can of gloss enamel. So I'm going to stripe this this afternoon, early evening. And then tomorrow morning, actually I just found an extra roll of tape. I wasn't going to do it because this is all I had left, so I thought. I found I had one more roll of tape in the cupboard. So I'm going to go ahead and stripe it this afternoon, and then clear it in the morning while it's still cool. So that is the plan. Wasn't planning on doing that initially, but I figured, what the hell. If it doesn't work, I can just sand it off and redo it, whatever. So here we go. Here's a preview, but it's inverted. Obviously it's going to be blue with white stripes. But that's going to give you an idea how much tape and paper you need just to stripe a car. Now I'm just going to spray bomb this with rattle cans, but I think it should turn out okay, provided the paint doesn't react with the clear coat. Here's to painting. Here it goes. Nice. Look at that. I got stripes. Good morning. I need to get this car on the trailer so we can get to duct tape drags. I got to leave first thing tomorrow morning, and I know a lot of you guys are already on the road coming from out of state. Some of you guys are still putting the engine together or last, finishing touches on the car, and I'm sitting over here painting. So, so we got it all masked. I'm gonna go ahead and just clear coat the tops, all the panels here. I use that masking machine, that little edger, easy edger, to make a soft edge here, so that way I don't have a hard line. The clear coat will blow up in here, and I'll have a nice soft edge. Not really worried about winning any trophies or anything like that, but just doing it for fun. But man, I ran out of tape right at the end. I mean, I have a little bit more tape on the masking tree over here. But yeah, I'm completely out of tape otherwise. So anyway, just got to wipe it down with some grease and wax remover, and then mix up. I'm just going to mix up the rest of this. Hopefully there's enough in there to do at least one coat. But if I have enough to do a second coat, I'll do that. Because the Arizona sun is not kind to paint. So if I can put 2 coats on the top, that's where you get your direct sunlight all the time. I think it'll hold up a little bit longer. But this car is actually going to get resprayed at one point. Done right, base clear. But it's going to be a couple of years, and I figured, let's just have some fun with it. It's always good practice, masking and striping. But as long as the paint doesn't react funny, I think it should look good. All right, let's get to it. All right, I got the shiny installed. Now I just got to take it outside and see what it looks like out in the sunshine. Because I got to get this loaded on the trailer this afternoon so I can leave bright and early tomorrow morning to Tucson. Doesn't look half bad, but not bad. I mean, it's not a super high gloss product. I suppose if you really wanted a high gloss, you just get a regular clear coat. But for the DIYer, I think it's a pretty good option. Definitely laid out better when I sprayed it. After wiping the car down, I didn't mix up very much, but just to spray the top of it, one coat, just as what you see here, it took the entire rest of the bottle. So if you're spraying a whole car and you want to get 2 coats of this stuff, you're probably going to want to get twice as, 2 kits. So, because one will probably cover the car twice over with a hand application, but when you're spraying it, you're probably going to want 2 coats, and one can isn't going to cut it. So anyway, I'm anxious to kind of see what this looks like outside. Let me get it unbagged here. Looks pretty good, I think. It'll work. I can still see where I didn't quite sand off the runs completely. They're still kind of showing through. But it is what it is, It's a shinier car, and, it's going to get repainted eventually at some point. So, but it'll work for now. Fortunately, my stripes didn't get all boogered up didn't react funny. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hope you enjoyed this video on the Vice Grip Garage Wipe-On Clear Coat. This is the gloss version. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below, and we'll see you on the next one.